Welcome to part 3 of the Feel Like a Supermom During Challenging Times Masterclass series. We have been going all week long, and I am Gina Fontaine, and I am a wellness coach. I call myself a champion for mom's health because I am really committed, as is the message in my recent book, You Are a Supermom. I am committed to helping moms put themselves first so that they can be healthy, more vibrant moms and be more for your children. I'm also founding the Supermom Club, which you're going to hear more about that if you stick around today to the end. And I also am the creator, which you're also going to hear today, of the program Reclaim Your Superpower and Thrive. So welcome. If you're watching live, I would love to know that you're here. So comment below, and any questions that you have, please also comments, questions, just to keep them coming. I'm streaming from another service, so I can't necessarily see them in real time, and that would be multitasking anyways, and that would be defying my myth number 2 in my book for some of you who have read my book already. So today is day 3, and hopefully you've been keeping up with the previous 2 days. And if you haven't, I really encourage you to go back and revisit day 1 and day 2, even though today is really power packed and it's kind of the crust of everything that I do. And I want to start off by saying, with everything that I am sharing with you, there are some real keys to being successful and being worthy. Like I can't deny the fact that I see, and I'm in this category too, because I'm a mom, and we give to our kids, we give to our spouse, we give to the pets, and it's almost like we give more to them than sometimes we give to ourselves. And when we feel worthy and in love with ourselves, that's when we really step in and we become committed and willing. So these are really the keys to success. I think sometimes we step into personal development realms or exercise programs, and we maybe want it, but we're not fully committed. And if we don't feel worthy to receive, then we're not going to get the results. Let's recap for a moment day 1 and day 2. On day 1, we talked about the missing piece. And ironically, that missing piece is peace. And you were left thinking, well, Gina, my life is just crazy. That's great. Peace is good. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to find peace in my crazy life? And so on day 2, I shared with you the 3 steps to choose peace. And those were attention, intention, and finally, solution. And what are we doing today? We're talking about how to reclaim your superpower and thrive. And we'll be going through the framework, the structure, the 5 tools that I use to help you reclaim your superpower and thrive. And just to be clear that, well, this isn't necessarily a clear path, that there's going to be roadblocks, that things are going to come up. Somebody's going to get sick. Maybe a family member passes away, or maybe those triggers are still there. And you just feel like, I am never going to be able to get through the day without losing my temper with the kids. And my anxiety is just through the roof. And really, in the last year, who hasn't experienced some degree of anxiety and tension? And I always like to put a warning out there that this truly is for you if you are ready to put yourself on the pedestal and say, yes, I am putting myself first. And that can be really challenging, not only for you to do that, but for your loved ones who are so used to you giving, and you finally start saying, you put up the boundaries and say, I'm not doing that. And so I put that warning out there because anytime we implement change, it can be hard on ourselves and the people that are used to us showing up a certain way. I'm going to go through the 5 steps in my framework. And so we'll begin with step 1. And these are all based upon what you find in my book. So in my book, the subtitle is 5 Ways to Reclaim Your Superpower and Thrive as a Mom. And I present 5 myths. And so myth number 1 is a good mom always puts her children first. And so on the flip side of that, the myth buster is that mom actually puts herself first and self-care is a priority. And I really want to point out that self-care is not selfish. And there will be those people that launch attacks at you when you start putting yourself first. And they will say things like, oh, you're so selfish. You don't even care about your kids. You're always doing for yourself first. And I'm just going to go and be bold here and say the idea of putting everyone else and even the pets before yourself as being of service to humanity, it's actually a worn out, outdated belief. And it's time for us to take that first step, fill ourselves up. And yet there's a caveat there. You have to be willing to receive. And that's something that can also be really challenging if you're a giver by nature and you're always wanting to heal and fix and change everybody and everything around you. When you finally receive, it can be really hard at first because your instinct is going to be, oh, I have to give something back. And here's the thing. The greatest gift that you can give somebody who's giving to you is to just receive that gift and say, thank you. It might be a compliment, it might be a gift, but just thank you. Step 2 is based on the flip side of myth number 2, which moms are master multitaskers. And multitasking is one of those things that we feel really busy and we feel really productive, but it's actually quite the opposite. It's very unproductive when we're having to shift our mind from one activity to another. And we might feel like we're getting stuff done, but we sacrifice our mental health and well-being when we're constantly shifting in and out of different tasks. And I still struggle with this one. I'm the first to say that I have to be very, very intentional about staying with one activities. And in the beginning, you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, now I'm staying present and my mind is always racing, or I just can't sit still. Because if your nature is to be on the go all the time, taking step 2 and staying present is going to be very challenging. I know for people, I have taught meditation and yoga for many years, over 3 decades, I think I've been teaching. And one of the first things I always hear is, well, I just don't know how to sit still, or it's unproductive to meditate because I'm just thinking all the time. I'm just watching my monkey mind. And that is okay, because you're just simply observing. You're becoming present without judging yourself, because you know what? You can't get it wrong. It's just about deciding I'm slowing down. So we had the step 1, self-care. Staying present is, in fact, I would put it under self-care because it is a form of self-care. Now, step 3 is based on the 3rd myth, which is being a mom is tough. And I say in the book that, you know, whatever you say, whatever you perceive yourself to be, is who you will be and who you will show up to be in the world. So if I say, oh, it's so hard being a mom, I'm going to find all kinds of evidence to support that. Shifting your mindset means that maybe, just maybe, you start to shift your mindset to being a mom is fulfilling. Being a mom is easy. Why not? And then catching yourself with those common limiting statements that are like, oh, I can't do that. I don't have enough time. I should exercise. Well, let's take those 2 statements and shift them. So I can't do that. I don't have enough time. Okay, so maybe it's I can't meditate. I don't have enough time. And then just saying, I choose to meditate every day for 2 minutes. And then doesn't that feel different when you say it? Take the next one. I should exercise. Well, how about I get to exercise today? Feels different, doesn't it? Or another one is the words always and never. Well, I always fail. When I start an exercise plan, I always fail. That's definitely going to limit you. But what if you said, in the past, I have not been successful with adopting exercise as a routine? Sounds pretty different because you're leaving it in the past. And celebrate your success even before it happens, that you're voting your victory, you're celebrating your future success. And truly taking this first step, if you're here right now and you're watching these videos, you are well on your way to making those changes to make you a more present and more fulfilled mother. Step 4 is based on the 4th myth that I lay out in the book. And that myth is being a mom is exhausting. And that's why I did a survey, and 80% of moms agreed with that statement, that being a mom is in fact exhausting. And it always feels like we haven't done enough and that we're always being pulled in a million different directions. And that is exhausting. And setting healthy boundaries really just means reining in your energy and understanding what lights you up in any given day. And I'm going to give you an example from today that, one thing that lit me up, I met a colleague for a walk, and that was exciting and exhilarating. I met like 2 moms of newborns that are going to join in Moms Thrive Tribe, and I, talked to them about the book. And then I came home and there was this Instagram thing, like, increase your followers and your leads and a 24-hour spree. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That might be a way to, connect with more moms. Well, going through and following 97 people that I don't know was just like a drain. And so I put my phone aside and said, I'm not doing that. That's not lighting me up in this moment. And so it's choosing, like, maybe I tried to follow all the steps or do all the things, but if it doesn't bring joy or lift my energy level up, then I'm not going to do it. And that's something where if you're a yes person and you start saying no, again, you might experience some pushback from the people around you. Moving to step 5. This could be one of the most challenging of the 5 steps to reclaiming your superpower. Surrender control is based on the flip side of myth number 5 in my book, which is mom does it all. Well, the thing is, when you usually end up doing it all when you feel like nobody can do it better. And when you can start letting go of control and being okay if things get done and they're imperfect, that will fill you up and free up more energy to be more of you. And notice the word to be more of you. Because typically when mom does it all, she is in busy bee, do mode. And that's I've talked about the yin and the yang energy. Well, we in our feminine essence are actually the yin. We are the receivers. And we've gotten off balance, women, because we're more in the doing place than most of us, and we're heavily in the yang side of the energetic spectrum. So it's time for us to step back and allow ourselves to receive and be nourished. Embrace our imperfection. Accept ourselves exactly as we are, imperfections and all. And to understand that everything is here to help us, that everything's always working out. And it may not fit the vision that we had for ourselves, but in retrospect, I can look at some of the most difficult, challenging times in my life and say, hey, that made me grow. That expanded me. I'm a different person because I went through that experience. So here it is all mapped out for you. The 5 ways to thrive through challenging times. And going back through those, beginning with self-care and the taking care of yourself so that you can be a better care provider to others. Stage 2 or step 2, staying present, paying attention to how you feel, and then pausing when you need a reset. Step 3, shifting your mindset, deciding to shift out of negative patterns. And what would you rather have instead? Do you want to keep feeling anxious? Do you want to keep feeling stressed out? Or what would you rather have? And how can you shift your mind? Step 4, setting healthy boundaries to protect your precious energy. And finally, allowing others to have their experiences, surrendering control. Now, I know this is a lot of information, and I'm giving you information, and we're not necessarily implementing yet, and we're going to get to that. But just, write down the 5 steps, and I can go back a slide so you can write those down. Self-care, stay present, shift your mindset, set boundaries, and surrender control are the 5 steps. Now, they're not exactly linear. You might find yourself, going through that spectrum in different stages. So right now, at this stage, likely you're watching this because you're an overwhelmed mom. I've been there and I return there quite frequently. And so you're showing up feeling exhausted. You're doubting that this is the right time to make any kind of changes because, well, it's easier to make change when everything's calm. But remember, we talked about it yesterday. It never really calms down. And at some of the most frantic times in my life, that is when I have enrolled in a program. Right now, I'm enrolled in 2 classes, and I have quite a bit going on. And getting out of that low self-worth that says, oh, I failed before, I can't do this, I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to wait until I feel better about myself. I'm going to wait to start exercising when I lose weight, or all the things that we say when we're overwhelmed. We don't think we can take on one more thing. And I want to help you move to that place of feeling empowered, that you're vibrant, confident, and healthy because you have tools easily at your disposal that you can use and implement. You can remember those 3 steps from yesterday, the attention, intention, and solution. And we're going to work through how do you take those steps and implement all the tools on the spectrum that I've just shared with you today. So this is a quote from my book, You're a Sovereign Being when you let go of ideas of how it should be and instead stand fully in the presence of how it is for you right now, even when it's messy. And you're always a sovereign being, but even more so when you just accept how it all is with you. I'd love to hear which of the 5 steps resonated with you in the Reclaim Your Superpower and Thrive model. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Comment below, let me know. And maybe even say which one you're having the most challenge with right now. It took me years to get to the place where I could surrender control. I'd say it took me 4 years, 4 solid years. And for that time, I was living in constant fight or flight, constant anxiety. I had tools, I used them, but the effect was only temporary. I felt very alone. I was doing it pretty much on my own with, some professionals helping me along the way. I want to help you move out of this place of survival, fight or flight, living in fear of taking the next steps. And I want that to be faster for you than it was for me. So tomorrow I will be sharing with you how to implement the 5 ways to reclaim your superpower and thrive. So join me for the next video session. And again, I try to keep these to just 20 minutes because I know that our time is valuable as mothers. If you want to connect with me, I love to receive feedback and emails. There's my email on my Instagram feed. And also you can pick up a copy of You Are a Supermom, still on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And I really appreciate you taking the time. Please comment below if you're watching the replay. And you know what? You're never behind. Okay, so if you feel like, oh, I missed the first 2 videos and now I'm behind, it's okay. Give yourself grace and come back to it on the weekend or when it feels good to you. And thank you so much for joining me for this masterclass, and have a wonderful day.